So all of that done. We've got all of these ramp down settings the way we want them. I'm going to put this back at 300. And for the record, I did some research and I found a technical document from, actually, I think from the 80s describing this, the GUFB logic. And this is the wrong number also. Ford actually operated the valve at like 100 Hertz. I don't know. I'm going to leave it here because it's what I've been doing and it works fine. And I'm afraid to tinker. But anyways, and then here's another magic bullet. And I'm going to show you the difference that one number makes to your idle quality. It's crazy. It is absolutely ridiculous how much more stable things are.
That was 40. I missed it. That was at 40 previously, right?
Yeah, 40, 60 are the stock settings they give you. And I figured out that raising the P term and leaving the D term alone, and 80 seems to be about the sweet spot. I'm getting really good results with that. And the startup thing is also good too. And I'll show you all this stuff, why these numbers, I've sort of arrived at this sort of new baseline. But once we get your IAC park position dialed in, that's going to probably work pretty well for us. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this stuff up some. So we're going to go 30% cranking duty cycle at full temp. Not get too carried away with it over here though. Maybe go a little less right there. Okay. All right, so park, settings, 1050. Okay, now I'm going to save this tune. All right, let's go key on. Let's get this tune over on the Holley.
Okay, key on. I have no idea. I know it's aftermarket, but actually, if you want to look at the fuel pressure gauge, see if the fuel pressure's dropped.
Okay, go ahead and cycle the key once, key off, key back on, but don't start it yet. And I'm going to go into USB link mode.
So it's not dropping to zero, but it's still dropping a little.
Okay, so your map reading shows about 100 kPa. Air and coolant temps are in the 120. So I'm guessing you ran the car earlier. It's been cooling down for quite a while. And
yeah,
okay.
So move it into the dyno. Yep.
Okay. Put your throttle all the way to the floor and hold it there for a second. Okay, all the way off. Okay, one more time. Yep, off. Okay, and then watch your TPS as you're pushing the pedal. Does this jump to 1% pretty much instantly when the position starts to move? Or do you feel like there's a gap where you're hitting the pedal for a while and then it starts to move?
Yeah, I'm hitting the pedal for like, I don't know, like a quarter inch it feels like.
Okay, let's do a reset real quick just to be on the safe side. Okay, pedal all the way to the floor, all the way back up 2 times.
Done.
Okay. So look at it again and see if that's any different or if it's still the same.
Oh yeah, it's instant now.
Okay. All right. I see that sometimes too when the screw's been kind of backed off after the reset happens. So you still see 0 at closed throttle, but there is sort of a hesitation to actually move again. Okay. Is there anything else you need to do before we start the car?
Nope, we rolled it. It's tightened down, and we got our sync on the dyno jet. We're good.
Okay. Yeah, then go ahead and just cycle the key one more time just to make the fuel pump go, and then go ahead and fire it up.
Okay. Yep. Let's see what happens.
Now, I've got a little bit of a delay on my screen, so I can't totally see things as clearly as you do, but what was that startup like? Did it do anything good, bad?
That startup was pretty darn good. Pretty moderate crank time, and it didn't really flare. I think it only went to like 1,200 or so RPM, and
Nice.
then now
Okay.
it's holding steady right at 1,000.
Okay. Now your CL comp is maxed out right now. Car's running super, super rich. So I'm just going to go in right now, even though we need to let it warm up more, but I'm going to go ahead and pull some fuel out. These numbers look high to me too, for this kind of KPA. So I'm just going to start kind of sneaking down on this a little bit, and I'm going to watch it from this learn tuning while we're doing that. And it may be kind of grumpy because I'll be, sort of changing things in real time here. So it may swing around and act kind of pissed off.
That's actually running really, really good.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna let it sit here for a second before I keep pulling more out. Usually on these, I'll call these moderate size cams that end up in this vacuum range, usually like the KPA or the VE numbers end up somewhere around 40. On like a stock cam that makes like crazy vacuum and you're way down here, usually the VE numbers have to be more in the 50s, like mid 50s. Because if you actually convert it and look at the raw fuel numbers, like these numbers are just really too low to idle even on a stock cam. So like the VE kind of looks different depending on what the cam is. Yeah. So it's still pulling out a bunch of fuel here. So I'm going to pull some more of it out too, just in this one little pocket. Okay, I see your learn kicking in. So that means we just hit 160-degree coolant temp. So now it's starting to transfer it over to that table. And now we can just kind of watch this table fill in real time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a quick change to this learn tuning. And I'm going to bring in a couple other parameters.
Okay.
And coolant temp is one of the main things I want to be able to sit here and watch because I want to make sure we don't overheat, because I'm about to start raising your target speed up. And we're just going to kind of sweep the RPMs for the sake of getting some good fuel data.
Sure.
Now, the other thing we're going to learn about the car is what your idle air valve is at all of these different RPM points. See what that dependency is. And that'll help in sort of direct our attention later when we start to fine tune all those idle air numbers. They'll be based on what this engine is needing with how you've got it set up right now. Okay, so there's 1,000. And basically, I'm just letting it sit here till the CL comp number hits close to 0. That means it's learned what it's going to learn. And then I'll move on to another 100 RPMs. And it's actually, I'm not just arbitrarily picking RPM numbers either. I'm going to pick everything that's on my fuel axis. So when I get up to here, I'm going to skip around a little differently.
Sure.
Okay, now actually, so right now it's kind of in a pissed off state because this is where I was manually manipulating things. So let me smooth this out before we go up any higher. It's just going to act stupid.
Okay.
It's just all kind of quick and dirty, but just to get something in there that might actually work some. Okay. So now let me proceed with some more RPMs. And 1,500 is an important number here. Okay, I can see it swinging around too a little bit. Okay, that's stabilized again. Okay, so check this out. So we're at 1,500 right now, and look at your idle air position. So it's needing about 54% to maintain 1,500 at hot idle. Okay, Okay, so let me do a couple more RPM points here, and then I'm going to bring it back down. I can see your thermostat just opened too, because we went to 192 and now it's dropping again.
Yep.
So 192, I think, is our answer on that, or that's where it was reading. I mean, this thing is just running crazy rich based on the injectors. What's your fuel pressure at right now?
Did we go look at the fuel pressure? I just sent Ryan to go look on the gauge.
Okay. Because ultimately what we're looking for is these injectors specs are for 43 PSI base.
40 PSI, you said?
With the vacuum line hooked up?
Yep.
Okay. Go ahead and pull the vacuum line. Let's adjust that down to 43 with the vacuum line off. And then put the vacuum line back on.
Adjust it up to 40, take it off, adjust it to 43, and then plug it back in.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Give me just a minute.
Sure.
All right, Matt, we are set to 43.
Okay, cool. So have you ever used this strip chart tool?
I have not.
Okay, dude, this is how I figured out how to get the idle super dialed in. So while you're, logging or online or whatever, you've got your gauge panel here, and this is what a lot of people look at. But then you've got a strip chart view. And this view is basically, you can change how many points worth of data are on the screen. So you can set it to 100 and you're seeing a very brief amount of time. But I'll go up here. Now this is zoomed way in. I'm looking at your RPMs right now. So 890 is way up here, 800 here. So this is super zoomed in. Okay, and I want you just to look at the variance. I want you to see where the kind of the meat is and then where these little outliers are, because the more stable our idle is, the less fluctuation we would have here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to see something. So this is the settings that are in it right now. I'm going to drop this back down to 40. And then we're just going to watch how the numbers are affected. You can already see it just going all over the place, and it spends some time up, and then it spends some time down, and then it spends some time up, and then it spends some time down. And it has this sort of slow swing back and forth because with such a low P term, it's not trying to respond quickly. So you see this lack of consistency now. And then we put that back at 80.
There it goes. Starts cleaning itself up.
And you start to see there's this just kind of consistent midpoint right here. I mean, this is a little bit bigger cam. I mean, it's gonna float some, but the majority of your stuff is in just a nice, tight, consistent little window right here.
Yeah.
So I've been real happy with this, but that's how I figured that certain aspect out. And then, the other thing we can look at is your map sensor, because that's ultimately going to give us the sort of the same general understanding. And look what your map was doing. Your manifold pressure was all over the place. We changed the settings, not a lot of fluctuation anymore.
Yeah.
And then, and then technically, how people say, like, especially with bigger cams, you tune for vacuum. That's how you tune idles. What gives me the best vacuum? Better vacuum means lower map. So now what I'm going to do is your car's idling. We're up at a good temp. Things are pretty stable. So I'm going to go to your AFR target now, and I'm going to start messing with this number and see what your idle does. See if your anything actually improves as far as the, what this number is or its stability. So I'm going to drop it all the way down to like 14 flat. And the thing is, it's like, I'm less concerned in most cases with how much vacuum we make. I'm more concerned with it being a consistent vacuum reading and not a lot of fluctuation. So even if the map number is a little higher, but it stays smoother, I might actually be happy with that. Okay, let's try it. Let's go up. Let's lean it out to 15 and see if that makes any difference. Okay, so you could see we lost vacuum with a leaner fuel. Now we're staying right up here, and with more fuel we are down here. So definitely leaner we're making less vacuum. Now, is the quality any better? Maybe. It's I don't know. It's just kind of different. Let's go back to like 14.6. Yeah, and so you can see we're making better vacuum now, and it's coming down a little bit. Okay, now let me try messing with our timing a little bit in this little window. So I'm going to drop the timing down. I'm going to drop it to 15 degrees of timing. So 15 degrees of timing is certainly making less vacuum, but is it more stable?
Mm-hmm. Looks like what, it's steadily increasing. It looks like it's starting to stable out a little bit more, from what I can tell. Or maybe that's pulling a little bit more vacuum.
And it'll take a second because every time I change the timing, then we have to give it a second for the idle air valve to sort of correct itself. So it may be a little weird for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a really high time. I'm going to put it like 25 degrees and see what it does. Or definitely make a way better vacuum because it went off the chart that time. So
Yeah,
I'll bring that back. And this is usually what I see on these sorts of things. I used to admittedly over advance idle timing, trying to get the system to behave, and I wasn't real happy with it. But what I would find is that even though it makes more vacuum, it a lot of times ends up getting really unstable because there's so much torque production going on. It's just,
right.
it kind of struggles. The other thing too is if there is a dip in RPM, it has no torque reserve left. If it adds more timing at some point, it doesn't result in more torque, so it can't help. But actually,
right.
no, this thing does, I think overall with a little more timing, it looks like it is making a good thing happen. So let me bring it down just a little bit. Let's try 22 degrees. What temperature did you say your fans kick on?
About 203, 204.
Okay. Is that what that dip is right here, where it just lost a lot of vacuum for a split second? Because it was at 203
yeah,
when that happened.
Yeah, now it's at 200. So yeah, fan's probably on.
Okay. Well, and this is good too, because this is your worst case scenario for load is when, fans are on, hot idle, all that. So 22 degrees is looking pretty damn stable. I mean, if you look, even with your outliers, we're just about staying within 1 kPa at all times.
Yeah, that's pretty darn good.
It's pretty good. Now, if it'll actually be happy when we're operating the car and doing stuff, I don't know, but that seems decent. Okay, so here's what I want you to do now. I want you to rev the engine up to like, let's go to 2,500 and just hold it there for like 5 seconds and then just let off. And let's just see what the car does.
Okay. Sorry, this thing's so like, I All right, want me to try that again?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously it's not happy. So big dips, swinging around, trying to find itself. It's slowly getting there, but those settings obviously not real happy with. So what I'm going to do now is like, let's look at where we're sitting. So we figured out your car right now needs 37% idle air to maintain. So that tells me that this number right here is probably too low. So I'm going to start by making this, I'm going to go to 40 right there. Okay. Let me go back to the other screen and we'll do the exact same test again. Okay. Yeah. Rev it up and then let off and see what it does. Okay, so that time I could see it hung quite a bit, even trying to start to come down, like it just kind of didn't do anything. So now we've got too much coming from the other area, but let me bring this down some.
It didn't swing as much either that time either.
Okay, let's try it again.
Okay.
Okay, so now here's what we're going to do. Go ahead and shut the car off for a minute.
Okay. Key on, back on, or just shut off?
Nah, you can just turn it off.
Okay. Car's off.
Okay, I'm going to look at this data log now. I want to see exactly what the idle air is doing and what everything's doing right now on that kind of final descent. Okay. So actually that's going to be a multi-part log. So let me open up the other part of it. Okay. And what I'm looking at here is, well, there's several things, but let me modify this view real quick.
Yeah, while you do that, we'll switch batteries on my camera. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Feel free to continue to talk and everything since you're recording this.
Sure, sure.
I'm just going to switch batteries.
All right, so here's what I'm looking at now, man. So I pulled up that data log, and I'm zoomed in on just this one very specific part where you let off and then it swung around. So that's all that's in view right now. And I did the activate the overlay so I can actually see where in the table this thing is moving. And you were right here, you let off the throttle. And if you follow this area right here, what was happening is it was pulling a bunch of timing as we tried to reapproach idle. So this exact line right here, the thing is, it shouldn't get to this point. The problem is not up here. The problem is, how did it even get here? Where did the problem really start? You could go back to the beginning. And I think the problem was right in here. And I think having more ignition timing will have more torque there. So as the RPMs are coming, it might catch things a little better. And if they don't swing, then this won't happen and this won't happen and all that. So the goal is to try to push it. You're coming down, you're trying to get it to swing right up to where idle is ultimately going to land. And anything it does that goes to the left of that or up above it, you got to stop from happening and figure out how to do that. That's like the whole challenge here. So the only change I just made right now from where we just were was adding more timing in here. And I know this looks really ugly in this part, but we're idling right now about 64 kPa at 850. So we're like exactly right here. I want to get really, really close to that and hold on to like all the timing and then let it go right at the very, very end. And that will hopefully sort of nudge things back in this direction rather than letting them keep going this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, this startup may be a little grumpy too, because if we get too much timing in certain areas, it may tend to push things. But let me go ahead and save this as a new tune. All right, let's go key on and we'll push this over to the Holley.
Key on.
Okay, so go ahead and fire it up again. Let's just let it get to a point where it's at least idling.
Okay.
Yes, that startup looks like it went to just at about 1,000 RPMs and then just sat right down. Had a little hiccup trying to build. Great. I noticed there was just a little thing right there, but no, ultimately it looks like it came up okay and then just fell into place. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
And again,
that's an excellent start.
A big part of this stuff, and this is what took me so long to figure out, is you got to pull all the timing out right here. Wherever it makes that initial path trying to come from nothing to here, it's the same concept. You're trying to nudge this thing where you want it to go. If the RPMs take off, it'll start swinging out to the right, and that means you have too much timing here. If you take out all this timing here, it never goes to the right. It just kind of falls in.
Right.
And you never drive the car here, so you don't care if you're losing all your power or whatever. If it starts easy and falls right into place, then just let this timing be low and let that part of your fuel map be pretty low, and lean is mean right there, man. Keep the targets real lean. You're not worried about detonation and stuff. You're not lugging the car at 400 RPMs, but keeping it from having just a huge inrush of fuel, it can act better sometimes. Okay, so we made some changes in the timing map. Idle air valve sitting about 37%. Let me smooth this out also. Looks like I missed just a little area. Okay, go ahead and rev the engine up again. Same thing, few seconds, let off. Let's just see what it does now. Probably still going to do the same
you ready?
thing, but yeah.
Gotcha. Here we go.
Okay. I'm going to go look at the fuel real quick. Let's let this get sorted back out again real quick. Still a lot of compensation going on.
Yeah.
Because one of the other things you can do to soften this as it makes that final descent, sometimes you just need more fuel right here, and having more fuel will catch things. It's just different ways of trying to get a little bit of torque to keep it happier. But too much fuel can do the exact opposite. It's just kind of getting too rich at the end, and it doesn't help.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to raise up the idle again. I just want to double check what our fuel's doing a little bit higher, because that kind of 12, 13, 1400 area, that's important.
Yep.
And the other thing you got to remember too is about closed loop fueling systems is like they're reactive by nature. Like they see a thing, they react to it. And then when the condition rapidly changes, it takes them a minute to come back and adjust. So as you're falling in, closed loop is pulling fuel out right through here, and it's going negative, 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 and then suddenly it hits a lean spike right before idle. It's not quick enough to add the fuel back in. So making it where it's coming in from a position of having to add fuel makes it sometimes behave better too. And yeah, it's pulling a lot of fuel out right here. So let me see if we can get this a little bit tighter. Okay, man, you want to go ahead and put it in gear, and let's do a little bit of cruising and see if we can get that part of your fuel map making sense.
Okay. What do you want me to go through all the gears, just up to third? What do you want me to do?
Let's just get it up to like third gear, and then just kind of cruise it steady at like 2000 RPMs.
Okay. All right. I will do that. All right.
Yeah, it's pulling out an insane amount of fuel right now. Take the RPMs up a little higher. Let's get to like 3 grand. Okay, let's go to like 4 grand. Okay, let's go back down to idle. Yeah, numbers were really high there, so it wasn't wanting to come down at all. Let me lower these numbers down. Okay.
Holy crap, that's moving a lot of fuel out.
No, it maxed it out and it couldn't even go any further. So let's do the same thing again. just try to get some steady areas, just kind of all through that RPM range, and let's see what it does.
Between like 2 and 4,000?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, give it just a second. I think Ryan's checking the straps and everything on the dyno, make sure we're good.
Okay.
They must be doing the same thing. Must be doing the same thing, 2 to 4,000. Steady. All right, Matt, here we go.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna hold that 2,000 until you tell me to go up.
Okay. Okay, let's go like 2,500. Okay, 3,000. Okay, 35. Okay, 4,000. Okay, let off, back to idle. Okay, 3,000. And these VE numbers are just so low. What are you guys using over there to check the fuel pressure?
What am I,
Like, is it a
connector fuel pressure?
no? Like, is it like a digital gauge, or is it just like something on the regulator?
So it's a regular gauge on a regulator, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these, I don't know, man. It's just, these numbers are really high. It's acting like maybe your fuel pressure is way higher than we think it is. But I mean, I'm going to give it what it wants for right now, but these numbers are just surprisingly low for what the car is. I don't see why they would be this low. And I still need to pull some more of this out because it's the RPMs are holding up too high right here. So I'm going to keep pulling that out. So let's go and just rev it up again. Let's go to like 2,500. for a few seconds and then just let off.
Okay.
Okay, do it again. Okay, try it again. Okay, I think I know what we need to do. So I would like to go ahead and shut the car off.
Okay, car's off.
Okay, and I want you to tighten the throttle screw by 1/8 of a turn.
Okay, so tighten it, so turn it inward.
Yeah, so that it opens the
Okay.
throttle blade more. Yep.
Okay, all right. All right, it's been turned 1/8 of a turn.
Okay, let's go key on
What?
again.
Right. What's that? I'm sorry.
Let's go key on.
Key on. Okay.
Yep.
Key on.
Okay, and then hit the throttle once. Just hit it and let off. Okay, and now let's do a TPS auto set. So
Okay.
to the floor and back twice.
Done.
Okay, go ahead and just start the car back up again.
Oops.
Okay, tighten it another 1/8 while the car's running.
Hey Ryan, can you turn the throttle screw in 1/8 of an inch? In 1/8, like 1/8 of an inch.
I want to see if we can get this idle air position at hot idle down somewhere around like 20.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so it's wandering down. So let's just kind of let it sit here and see where it stops. Okay, tighten it again the same amount.
Again, send them out 1/8 inch. Okay.
Okay, go ahead and blip the throttle once, just so it forces the throttle to hit back up against the screw again.
Okay.
Okay, let's tighten it again the same amount.
Another eighth inch. Okay.
Okay, go ahead and rev it up again for a second and let off. Okay, do that again.
Okay.
Okay, do it again. Okay. Okay, do it again. Okay, try it again. Okay, do it again. Okay, here's what I want to see. Go out there and unplug the idle air valve.
Unplug the idle air control motor. Unplug it. Yep. Okay, it's unplugged.
Okay. Okay, rev it up and see if it stalls when it comes down right now.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I expected it to. I am also curious about something. Is there any possibility you have a vacuum leak on this car right now?
I don't think so. If there is, I don't know where it'd be.
What are you doing for like PCV and all that stuff?
It's just running to the back of the intake manifold.
Okay, so you just have like a normal stock style PCV you run into the
Yep.
intake.
Yep.
Do you have any valve cover breathers on?
No. It does have our valve covers on it, but I got rubber caps covering the holes, and then it's just got the regular line that goes to the throttle body.
Okay, and
Which
that's
that might
hooked
be
up too.
loose. Yeah, I wonder if that's a little loose. Can you go to that PCB line that goes to the throttle body? See how loose it is, or if it's tight. It's pretty loose. Okay, I wonder if it's leaking there. Well, on there. It's not. It's not. It's not snug. It's just on there. Okay. So there is a line going from the oil fill tube to the throttle body. It's not really tight. It's just kind of on there. Does that cause a vacuum leak?
I doubt it. I know exactly what, like, is it like the stock style line that usually it just kind of sits on there?
That weird L-shaped hose. Yeah.
I doubt it. I doubt that's the cause of any issue. Go ahead and fire the car back up again.
Okay.
And you may have to pedal it a little too since the valve's not hooked up.
Okay. I got to keep my foot on it, otherwise I'll die.
Okay. Yeah. See if you can back off it real slowly if it'll catch itself.
Okay. That's where the TPS percentage is the same too. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm completely off of it. That's right. I forgot we changed the screw.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm completely off the throttle.
Okay. Go ahead and tighten the throttle screw another nudge.
Like another 1/8 inch.
Yep.
Okay. Just turn the throttle screw in another 1/8 inch. Do it the same thing. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead and shut the car off now. We need to do another TPS auto set.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and plug the valve back in also.
Okay. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. You go ahead and plug that back in. Okay.
Okay. Pedal to the floor and back twice.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and fire it back up again.
Okay. Thanks, man. Put a clamp on it.
Okay. So go ahead and rev it up for just a second and let off.
Okay. Better?
Let's see. Okay, do it again. Okay, do it again.
Wow, that was pretty darn good. It barely dipped down.
It's timing. Okay, I want you to look at what I just did. This green line is your idle air valve. Red line is your RPMs, okay? So what was happening is you saw a big dip right here.
Yeah.
Followed by a big swing. Okay, remember, we got to fix one problem at a time. And if one thing happens, whatever happens after that's other subsequent problems. So the thing is, how do we keep it from falling down to begin with? Well, it's going to pop the valve open when it crosses that back into idle. So if we could have that happen sooner, and literally if we could just make that pop happen back here, it would probably catch things before they get this far. So that's all that changes. I just moved this so that it would pop at 200 RPMs before idle instead of 50. And it caught it sooner. The dip wasn't as bad, nor was the overreaction. And it just sat in.
Exactly.
Now, we might have got lucky. Let's do another one and see if it does the same thing.
Okay, yeah. All right, you ready?
Yep. Close.
That's 2 for 2, man.
It wasn't as good as the first one, but it's close. It's not crazy like the other ones. Yeah. Okay, now let me think what I can do to improve that. So it's still having just a tiny dip. It's hitting, looks like about 750 on that one, maybe 800 on the previous. And then it pops and it's hitting about 1100. And then this has to taper down quickly. So let me do this. Take away a couple percent. Let me. Okay. See, let's try it again.
Okay.
Okay, try it again. Okay, rev it up and hold it for 3 or 4 seconds, then let off.
Okay.
Okay, had a little bit of a follow-up surge right there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay, do that again, but do it at a lower RPM, like 2500.
Okay.
And it has a little climb right after. Let me watch it from over here while you're doing that. Do that same thing again.
Okay.
I think it might be in the timing table right here. Okay, try it again. It's pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Just snap the throttle and see if it'll come back down.
Okay.
That's a pretty decent recovery.
Yeah.
Okay. Shut the car off and wait like 2 seconds and then key on.